African educational institutions lagging behind in equipping learners with the skills that they would need for the fourth industrial revolution that we have?
All right, I probably would say to you that it's not just South Africa that's lagging behind.
Mm-hmm.
It is a global occurrence.
Yes.
Basically what has happened is the World Economic Forum has carried out a substantial research, a global initiative, to find out what it is that we need in our upskilling of our students in time to come for the job market that's going to be 2020, 2025. And in their findings, they've come up with a key or core 10 skills that they've identified our kids need. And in doing that, we've now had to challenge not just South African the curriculum,
Yes.
education systems, but global education systems to say, if these are the skills that we need, how are we addressing it?
Now let's talk about those skills. 10 skills you are talking to me about.
And can I remember them?
Go through them, the ones that is important.
All right. Look, they're very, when I say they're very generic, things like they talk about problem solving, they talk about creativity, they talk about negotiation, they talk about collaboration, people management, social skills. And when you listen to those words, they sound very known. They sound like, well, we kind of do that. But when you really start unpacking what's going on, you actually find that there's a lot of assumption in any education system that it's happening, and there's not enough explicitness around teaching them and actually developing them.
So how do we go about doing that and changing then the curriculum in
Okay.
order to make sure that we can facilitate and make sure that our kids are bolstered in their thought process
Absolutely.
moving forward?
All right, and that's a big role that I'm playing now with the Advotech schools at this point in time. Is you've got to start off by defining what it is. So you've got to, as a school, a group of schools, an education department, you've got to decide or define what it is these skills are in your perspective, and then you've got to make a conscious effort to include that within the teaching and learning. And I've been asked this question before about what do we need to do to our curriculum?
Yes.
And my answer is it's not essentially the curriculum that needs to be changed, it's what we're doing within the classroom in the teaching and learning. So if we know what our skill sets are and we know what we've got to do to develop them, we've then got to go into our classrooms and take our subject content and find the opportunities in there to actually develop the skills. So to actually create a lesson or a scenario where thinking skills are developed or where collaboration is required, so that these children constantly develop and upskill themselves.
I agree with you when you say it's not just the curriculum, but it's also not the kids only.
That's
it's
right.
also the teachers
Yes,
that need to
you're
be
quite correct. Yeah, okay.
upskilled.
Yep. All right. And again, that is a big part of what my role is. And you know, people have asked me, and it's that endless question of how much money has this got to take, and what is it going to cost? And I said, ultimately, if you think about it, it's not a cost of anything other than time, and the time has got to be to train our teachers, to inform them what are these skills, to then inform them how we want to go about unpacking them, and then to give them the training behind that of tools and strategies. So that's probably the greater interest and the greater investment that's got to happen.
Will this have an impact not just in private schools but across the board, even in public schools as well?
Yeah, no one's excluded from this. And you know, when I look at it and I'm going, it doesn't matter what subject you're in, it doesn't matter what school you're in, there is always an element of providing students opportunity to think critically, to be creative, to negotiate, to collaborate. So yes, it's not just private schools, it's across the board.
Do we have the facilities and the teachers to do that?
Well, I would say, look, if you're in any form of education, you're a professional, and yes, you have got the capacity to do that, but it ties back to the question you asked previously, which was, where's the training behind that? So again, I say, let's define what these skills are, let's determine how we unpack them, and then let's put the training behind that to activate them.
There's always a sense that there's almost a lack of a bridging course or a dovetailing between schools and universities and the workplace. Will that address that particular issue as well?
Our hope is that. Our hope is that. And it's not, I mean, as I say, I'm part of an international panel at the moment. I'm working with a research company in Australia, in Sydney, called Incept Labs, and they are going through the same process of looking at how do we develop this. And we can start with our 3-year-olds and do the basics, and then as we snowball through, we go to our juniors, our seniors, our college, our tertiary, Absolutely, there is the dovetailing. But you then need to be very explicit about it, and you need to determine very clearly how we develop from a 3-year-old to our tertiary and our graduates.
How critical is critical thinking?
And you know what's really interesting is under the thinking banner, because what we've done in our group is we've defined 5 broad areas, and then underneath those areas we've got subdivisions. And you hear it time and again, critical thinking, you go, and you know what? There's creative thinking, there's ethical thinking, there's logical thinking. There is so much, and all of it can be critical. And the other side of it, which when I'm doing my training and presentations, is actually saying to them that, critical thinking doesn't have to always be this intensive question that's got to be solved. You can have a lot of fun where you're just putting things out there that seem to have nothing to do with one another, but actually when you're thinking out the box, you're having fun with it, so finding similarities between, an apple and a computer, and you're trying to go, really? And you can pull that together and have a conversation around that.
Tracy, implementation and timeframes, what are we looking at?
All right. Well, our group, we started this, we rolled out our framework document, because it's draft still, in the end of 2015. We've been working on it through 2016, and we're currently busy with it now. It's not a quick fix. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's that word embedded. It's that iceberg where you could have the top of the iceberg where you think you've addressed it, you think you've done it, you've assumed the kids have got it and understood it. To embed to that bottom of the iceberg, that depth, it takes a while.
Where can people get more information?
Well, they're welcome to contact me. They can contact me via email at Advotech, which is tsalter@advotech.co.za, which is probably the easiest forum, or to call through to Advotech.
Is there a website, Pat?
They're not for me at the moment, but I can tell you where else they can go is hop onto the World Economic Forum, and if they go and do a search on the World Economic Forum and find the worldeconomicforum.org, and they have a look there, there is the articles that are related over there, and they can also have a look at that and see what that sparks and develops for them.
Tracy, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Great to be here.
That was Tracy Salter from Avtech. Prepare your kids, people. It's the 4th industrial revolution. You need to know what skills they need. 10 skills the World Economic Forum has identified. Go and look for them. We'll take